Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. Hey Sister, how you doing, girl? I
Hey,
see
sister.
I see that fresh cut with that split down the middle. What's up? Sister got that middle part bust down, as the young guns say. The youngins talk about that middle part bust down the middle. What's
I
up?
know nothing of what you
And do it
speak.
like that, girl. Do it like that. Do it like that. We see that body. Oh, she got a little body up in there. All right. Hey, Jody, how you doing tonight, girl? Look, you need to send this to the people and tell them, come check our sister's hair with all that body. Yeah, girl, she looking good. I see. Yeah, it's giving. What's it giving? It's giving body. It's giving volume. It's giving middle part bust down. That's right. That's what it's giving. Hello, sister.
Well, thank you all. Thank you all. It will probably be curly again next week. Or maybe if I figure out how to blow it out, uh, you may see it straighter for a little while. But yes, I had to do a little something different. It was time, and before I just drastically cut it all off, I was like, let me start here.
Start inching up. Well, honey, I ain't did nothing of mine. And y'all see it as a
It
wild
looks
woolly mess
great,
today.
though. It looks. I
Woo-wee.
can only imagine how long it is now when you flat iron it.
Oh, well, this is, and this is not, this is just from pulling it back in a bun. I've been pulling it back, wearing it in a bun and, doing a couple plaits. So my hair is not like everybody's, where everybody's like shrinks a lot. Like if I put any tension on my hair, it straightens out. So there was no heat added to this hair. And this is what I'm getting just from pulling it back in a ponytail. So, that's how mine works. But you got to learn your hair.
You do. But
You
this is
got to learn your hair. And you also got to like, follow, share, and subscribe. And tell people about Hey Sister. Because listen,
because in a few days it's gonna be 7 years,
in
and
a few days, it's going to be 7 years, and we're going to be reassessing and evaluating what we want to do with Hey Sister, where we want to take Hey Sister. We love coming to you on Sundays, having these conversations, but we might need to switch it up. But tonight, we want you to join the conversation in the comments. And we want you to subscribe to our website and let the folks know you'll never miss an episode if you go to our website. Now, while we stream live on Facebook and on YouTube, you can always find us on our website. Yes,
yes,
yes, yes. Now, listen, it's the evening of Hot Topics tonight. You live with Hey Sister. But
it's
we
a
got to
lot of
start.
topics that are hot right now.
We got to start with this. And as you know, my sister, I shared the other day, and I shared it with a few of you who might be on the line. Let's talk about Castradamus. See, back in the let me, when did that air? Let me look that up.
It aired in January, and what I understand is that it was actually filmed maybe in December of last year, but aired in January. But it
Hmm.
aired in January of this year. I'll look it up for you. Go ahead and say what you gotta say about little Catstradamus.
Castradamus. If you don't know who Castradamus is a mixture of one Mr. Cat Williams and Nostradamus, who was the predictor. The person who was I'm not going, we've been studying Daniel and talking about prophecy. I ain't going to say he was a prophet, but he was a predictor of things to come. And Castradamus told us when
Mm-hmm.
this thing aired on Club Shay Shay
Mm-hmm.
in January in the year of our Lord 2024. Now, today is September 22nd. He said, all lies will be revealed. Did he not?
He did.
He also said in that interview, he said, because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And sometimes you gotta tell him no. Did
Yeah,
he
oh, yeah, let me see. Let's see if we can. Let me do this real quick because
say, hey girl, how you doing? We glad you in. Now, what else did Cat Stradamus tell us? Because he
let's
told us a lot of things. God, I don't
girl,
know
wait
about
a
the
minute.
shoes.
Hold on. I was just trying to
Okay.
see this.
all of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is, TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way. The truth is the light. Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times.
I ain't had to turn it down once.
Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting the body. And you got to tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did. I did. See, I got the receipts for everything I'm telling you. I don't want to look at nothing I don't want to have. Because I know how blessed I am. If I look at it, I got it. That's how Diddy be feeling.
No, come on, man.
So there you have it. Castradamus.
Castradamus. Yes, we had another comment on the hair. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. Given all that. Well, what y'all say? Y'all drop something down in the comments. Because see, this is a thing. 2024 ain't over yet.
Right.
And as you know, my sister and I, we talked about it when the Cassie video was released. My sister said to me, because you know, we have these conversations here live with y'all, but we have all kind of other conversations when we talk to each other almost every day in private conversations. And she was like, no, the federales leaked that video. Because you know, they had done the raid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Cassie's case was grand opening, grand closing, because it was settled within 24 hours.
Right.
Or less. And then the video happened, and the video happened after those homes were raided.
Yes.
Now, you read the new indictment. I haven't read this new indictment.
Yeah, I mean, I read enough of it.
I believe if the number of tapes and recording and video evidence that people might have as protection of themselves, that is to be revealed. Now, will it all come out in a court? Will it be, you know, what will be exposed publicly? I don't know. But Castradamus said all will be revealed. All lies, and he said the D-deviants. Y'all caught that?
Yeah, the big D-deviants.
The big D-deviants. Uh-huh.
And he was very specific. And that's also something, girl. I'm sorry, because I'm gonna look it up before I bring it up. Let me look up something real quick. But yeah, okay. It's you can read the indictment. I'll drop a link here. But one of the things that struck me with the indictment was I just felt like it was very much telling about the abuse of women specifically. Because in the allegations or in the indictment, it lists conduct that's first of all, it says, I'll read a part of it. Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka Diddy, aka DPD, aka Love, the defendant used the Combs business, including certain employees, to carry out, facilitate, and cover up his abuse and commercial sex. Those employees, including security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and high-ranking supervisors and other close associates, acted as Combs' intermediaries, and their conduct was facilitated and assisted by Combs' control of the Combs business. So obviously that's part of the whole racketeering and RICO charges. In another part, it says members and associates of the Combs enterprise engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other activities, sex trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotics offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. And so there was some specific references to women who were being forced to have sex with male prostitutes. And I found that to be very, very shocking in terms of the, like, again, the abuse of women, particularly because I think about how Sean Combs has lauded his mother, Janice, despite her challenges. He has lauded her in many ways. For her influence and impact on his life. But then I think about the fact that he has two daughters. He has, well, now three, I think. Girl, it could be four at this point. Folks just be having children. So, but anyway, we know he has two twin daughters with now deceased Miss Kim Porter. And it's always a very weird thing for me that I question, how is it that you can love your daughters and love your mother and laud them and put them on a pedestal, but then be willing and just willingly abuse women. And a lot of this was just for the pleasure of being able to do it, it seems. And that's just very troubling for me.
We got a couple comments here. One said, he's like, damn, when she told me to cut the check the first time, I should have done it, but I was being narcissistic and that bitch got me. Meanwhile, Russell is saying, child, Russell is over in Bali and saying, keep his name out your mouth. He over in Bali doing his yoga and he ain't coming back here. He sneaks back in the country every now and then. He snuck back in for something, but he sneaks back in every now and then. But he's trying to stay on the low. And he's been trying to stay on the low for a while. Word on the street is Usher deleted some previous tweets following the arrest of Diddy. Of course, Usher saying his account got hacked. Honey, that's the line that everybody says. My account was hacked. Everybody says that their account was hacked. Russell Simmons needs to go down too on the record. Drew Dixon. Okay. Listen, I don't know. But I do, speaking of Usher, we both love Usher. So but we all know Usher, Justin Bieber, when they first were introduced to Sean Combs, and Usher has always been very, even in recent interviews about going and stay at the mansion and living there, and him producing his music, and he's been very elusive. But we can assume in many cases that, like in many other cases, the abuse or sexual assault of young men by bringing in older women to have sex with minor young men is not always has been seen as abusive. And we need to be honest about that and have that conversation in our country. And why he may have had a distorted kind of relationship, because when you are shaped and molded in pathological ways, it lays down kind of the building blocks for the rest of your life, unless you really do some work to undo this stuff, right? Now, Justin Bieber done said, listen, I'm over here trying to raise my family. I'm not trying to go back to none of that. But again, when he first was introduced and was there living and having working on his music, he was a minor.
Right.
They were minors. And we need to remember that.
Yeah. And so one of the things that shocked me, obviously, last year we went to see Usher in Las Vegas as he closed out his residency. And of course, you had an opportunity to get his new album. His album came out in February of this year. And let me see what it is called. Coming Home. That's the album. But he has this song called Naked on the album. And when I heard it, the words just struck me. There's a part in the song. He says, since I was young, I had this problem with me trying to find my manhood inside a woman's body. I need a certain kind of validation, for my ego, and sex would feed that vibration. My appetite became insatiable, and that would lead to trouble. Although I'm better now, there's a rage in me that won't settle down. When I was a child, I done seen things I can't talk about. Now you mix that with money and fame and millions of women screaming out my name. That's a recipe for pain. That's why I realize and I admit it, but I'll fix it when I'm naked. I don't know what to call it. Maybe I'm a sexaholic. So maybe from night till morning, let's be naked. And that those words just struck me. And now with all of these things coming out, happening, or what have you, again, he went on Howard Stern. He had an interview. He was asked about it. He basically said, you know, he saw a lot. Some of the stuff he didn't understand. But when he was asked, would you send your child to, if your kids wanted to do music and wanted to do something similar, would you do it? His answer, I mean, I don't know the exact quote, but his response was hell no. That's what that answer was. I know that's a quote.
Yeah.
So I think it just speaks volumes about, like you said, a lot of times when these young men are being exposed to older women, we don't see it as sexual abuse or sexual assault. It very much is. In the same way as forcing women to be with male prostitutes for your purposes of sexual pleasure, which again, I dropped the link to the indictment. You can read it yourself. It's listed in there. So while a lot of people, you know, they read the baby oil, the lube thing, they thought that was jokes and funny and memes and all that stuff. For me, it's like, this is not, I don't know, it's not funny at all, because it's a lot of people. Like I said, all of these employees, there are folks who are going to be pulled into this, who may have thought, because this is dating back to like, I think 2008.
Mm-hmm.
They may have thought, okay, we dodged a bullet. It's 2024.
Yeah. Well, you know, the laws recently changed. I know some of the laws changed in the state of New York, which allowed Cassie to even bring her case, where they lifted those statute of limitations. So adult victims of abuse can come forward. And that was largely out of what happened to people from the Catholic priests, right? So they changed some laws because of that. And that allowed her to bring that case forward. And I think in some other states, they've had those statute of limitations lifted. That's why elections matter and they have consequences, and who you put in these state houses matter. And so speaking of who you put in the state's house, let's talk about the Black Nazi over there who's the lieutenant governor in North Carolina. Where y'all at? North Carolina? Come on and raise up. Come on, can y'all raise up and the release of this man, Mark Robinson? I think his name is Mark Robinson. I don't even want to know his name. All I know is this. Earlier this summer, I think I shared with you all before, we had an alumni networking conference, alumni leadership conference in the DC area. We were at the Washington Hilton. There was also this Faith and Family Forum event that was happening. And he was one of the people who I saw there, because I think I shared with you all how the whole energy was just weird the whole time. Mm-hmm. He, I think it's Daniel Cameron, who is the Attorney General in the state of Kentucky. Those were two of the Black men who are a part of the right wing. And I'm not even going to call them Republican. I'm just going to call them delusional party. It was I saw the energy. I noticed this big, very boisterous, very loud, very arrogant posture. And that was this man who is the lieutenant governor of North Carolina, who is now seeking to be governor. And he was hacked as well.
Was he hacked? Is that what he's saying now too? I'm
just saying he was like, he talked about this being a high-tech lynching, like they said, like Clarence Thomas said 40 some years ago. That's what he had said.
Let me reassure you.
What say you, sister?
Those are not the words of Mark Robinson.
Those are not his words, because them not his words.
Calling the CNN report salacious tabloid lies. in one October 2010 post on the pornography site. Why is we talking about this on the porn site? What is y'all over there doing?
Yeah, I
CNN
don't
said,
even know. I'm glad I'm not on none of the porn sites.
me neither, but I'm just saying, CNN said Robinson wrote, slavery is not bad. Some people need to be slaves. I wish they would bring it back. I would certainly buy a few. CNN said Robinson also posted a series of gratuitously sexual and lewd posts dating from 2008 to 2012 before he entered politics, and that it was reporting only a small portion of them given their graphic nature. Let me tell you something, CNN. Here we go. You see how Kat said, if I say something, I got the receipts. Baby, y'all better get to blanking out the words. You better post this stuff. What is the site? What was the screenshot? What was it? Because don't look. I don't know this man. I know he is, like you said, one of the ones that they trot out on stage.
He's the one who Donald John Trump said is MLK on steroids.
Right, because when
He
you're
better than Martin Luther the King.
when you're on steroids, what happened? Your mind goes, your body fails. Yeah, he may be.
Mm-hmm.
Because his mind is gone and his body is failed. But I'm just saying, like, CNN, if y'all really have this information, again, put it out there. Because again, as we see with this Diddy situation, clearly a federal raid of your home, and then we didn't hear nothing for a while. People like, what happened? What happened? What happened? Bam, now you arrested. And you knew you was getting arrested because you came back and stayed in the hotel until the people came to get you.
Mm-hmm.
That's how things get done. So y'all don't have to be loud, boisterous, but if he's calling what y'all saying salacious lies, then just be like, okay, cool, here are the receipts. They still lies. Because here's the thing, it's not going to change the mind of the people who voted for him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. But at least don't let nobody call you a lie to your face. Show them better than you could tell them. That's what we always learn, right?
That's what I always learned. At least that's how I was taught. But again, it doesn't matter because the lies will be revealed, as they say. At Castradamus has told us. So more of these deviants shall be revealed. And here's the thing.
It's funny because didn't Byron, what's his name, Byron Douglas, the little cat from, didn't he say something about Jim Crow too, and then try to backpedal, and, as you like to say, backpedal pussy pop, according to like Bunky Dineva on the words? What is it? Like, you all fix your mouths to suggest that enslavement of your people was okay. That Jim Crow
of any people, for that matter. Because I ain't gonna say they my people, because they clearly not my people.
Well, yeah, all skin folks ain't kin folks, but I'm just saying, as Black men, you have both pushed narratives to suggest now that Jim Crow and enslavement and these things were okay. So I just kindly ask CNN, if you got the receipts, please pull them out like CBS does. Please.
CBS gives us all the receipts all the
all
time.
Of them.
All of them. Well, if you wouldn't mind, sister, I know this is not a topic we have up here, but I want to have a little diatribe. If you would allow me, if you all will allow me and indulge me a momentary diatribe, right?
Please, sister, by all means.
All right, you live with Hey Sister, and I have to go on this little diatribe, this little journey, because it's been in my spirit, it's been brewing in my mind for the last couple of days. So here's the thing. So Mark Robinson, he's a despicable human being, obviously. And I don't bemoan any grown adults. Diddy done some despicable things. I don't bemoan any grown adult participating in consensual adult activities. Period. If it's not illegal to watch porn, if that's how you roll, that's how you roll. So back in 1973, 1900s. The kids say I'm from the 1900s. That'd be blowing my mind. I'd be like, what? So the year I was born in 1973 was the year that Roe v. Wade was passed, or where the Supreme Court decided on that case. And that case, while people largely see it as about abortion, the case was really about the right to privacy.
Right.
It was about the right to privacy, that woman's private decision with her and her physician. That's what that case was about. And so that was the year I was born. So now here I am, 51. And as a woman of a certain age, I know women who had elective abortions. They chose not to have a child at that time. It wasn't right for them. Most of the women I know that had elective abortions went on and had children, when planned their families and did the thing. I know women who have had ectopic pregnancies and ended up in an emergency situation in the hospital, and had to have, chemicals to dissolve that embryo that was developing in their fallopian tubes, so that they could go on and continue to have their reproductive organs and not end up losing them and still have reproductive health. I've known a woman who was very much happily pregnant, going along, and several months in was then told, you have a non-viable fetus. Like, this child is going to be born, the brain's going to be on the outside. This is going to be a non-viable fetus. But you are so far along, we got to induce labor. You got to push, you got to have to push. And this baby's not going to make it, right? Also know of a woman who baby died in utero. And baby was wanted, but the baby died in utero. And it's like, okay, so now we have to induce, so you got to push and we got to take this baby out. And to think that we get to this, I'm 51, we get to the year of our Lord 2024. All of those cases I described are health care decisions. They're all private decisions that should be made between the healthcare providers and the woman who is presenting, whether she's presenting in a clinic, whether she's presenting at her physician's office, whether she's presenting in an emergency room, how she's presenting, whatever the case may be. The health and safety of that woman should be paramount. The health and safety of that woman, preserving her reproductive organs and the ability to, if she wants to choose to go on and have another child or have other children, whatever it may be, is available to her because she had the right to privacy, to be treated according to medical standards of practice. Now, this argument and this BS about, it should be the states should decide, states' rights. States' rights is a vestige of slavery. Period, point blank, full stop. So I ain't got nothing for the states' right argument. But I want to say this. It should not be, if we live in a country, that if I am a woman who is pregnant in the state of California and my job relocates me, or my husband's job relocates him to Texas or Florida or Louisiana, and I have a medical emergency, that I might be putting my life at risk by moving to one of these damn states. It's absolutely insane. It's ridiculous. And I'm so sick and tired of having conversations about it. So if you want to have the privacy to watch porn and do what you do, then let me have the privacy of making decisions with my consultation with my physician. There are medical standards of care. There are medical standards of care. And the medical standards of care don't change based on what state you live in. So that states' right argument is foolish and it's foolish and stupid. It does not matter. Because if I had a heart attack, there's a protocol. If I'm having a stroke, there is a protocol. If I'm having a medical emergency related to my pregnancy, there is protocols. There are standards of care, and they don't matter where you live. And so I know that people are single issue voters. I'm not a single issue voter. But this issue is so big right now because it goes to what you said earlier about the treatment of women, about the abuse of women, about the disregard of women. And that's what is the biggest problem I think that we're facing right now, is that 51% of the US population, and you can look it up, women are not the minority anymore. We're actually in the majority. So 51% of the US population are having their lives put in jeopardy. And now I'm beyond childbearing at this point. But if anything were to happen to my organs, because they still in there, right? I want the best standard of care that I can get for me, for my daughter, for hopefully if I ever have grandchildren, but for my cousins, my sister, my nieces, and every child, every woman out there who I don't even know deserves to have the best care that we can have. And so this has just been on my heart. I've been thinking about this for the last couple of days. It's just been frustrating because the way in which the majority of the US population lives are in jeopardy and at risk because of somebody's faulty belief system is befuddling to me. And I'm tired of it. And when they say our lives depend on this election, our lives literally do depend on this election. Too many women are dying because the medical standards of practice are not being delivered because of some draconian laws in the state that they live in. I'm sorry, but thank you for listening to my TED Talk.
No, I think you make a valid point. Here's the thing, you know what? The two hottest topics on the that seem to be at the forefront of people's mind are the election and immigration. I'm sorry, are the economy and immigration. And immigration, in my mind, is not one that should necessarily be at the forefront. I respect and understand the economy, but for me, immigration is one that I don't quite get because if everybody who's an immigrant just said, F it, I quit. Today, tomorrow, our economy will collapse for sure. Oh. So that's why I don't understand why we don't understand that. But to your point, I like how you started that Roe v. Wade was about privacy. It was about the fact that women have been going to these dark back rooms in shady places, because abortions are not new. They're not something that people just started getting. Like you said, you will listen to some people who make it seem like it's just a birth control. Oh, I don't want to have kids conversation. It's not just that. We were watching the Oprah Winfrey Kamala Harris discussion the other day. And I remember my mom listening to the story of the young lady who was in Georgia who had decided that she did not want, she was pregnant. She did not want to have have a baby. She had to go to another state to get an abortion. She was late because of traffic. She then was given the abortion pill, what they call the abortion pill, and it did not fully purge those cells in that matter from her body, and thus caused an infection and care that she should have gotten. And so when they said that she couldn't get a DNC, and my mom was like, they're not even going to give people DNCs now. And I'm like, yeah, this is such a layered conversation because you have medical
Yes,
providers,
mama, they not gonna give people DNCs now.
right? And I'm
Plain
like,
and simple.
you have medical providers who are being told it's if a woman, if her life is at risk, and they're trying to figure out, well, what constitutes her life being at risk? Because I'm not trying to go to jail. And that should never be a conversation. And what infuriates me is, like you said, we're 51% of the population, but you have women carrying this damn water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When I'm like, and what bothers me is I ain't never been pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
But and maybe for my personal belief, I don't believe in abortion. But I also am not voting for myself only because I recognize that things happen to other people that I also wasn't raped by a stepfather like the young girl on that who was saying and gotten impregnated.
Mm-hmm.
And here this child is walking around being homecoming queen, being the cheerleader, being this, being that, and harboring this
secret.
So I also haven't had that experience. And then when you have men specifically, the likes of the JD Vances who sit around and act like, well, who are these women bleeding out? Well, who are these women? Like they act like it's just such a small percentage of the population. All of these healthcare issues that we're talking about here, whether it's what you like to call a miscarriage, because that sounds nicer, I guess.
Yes.
Whether it's, like you said, a pregnancy that's not viable, a child that was wanted, but a pregnancy that's not viable, whether it's, I've had the unfortunate experience of being with my friend giving birth and not bringing that child home. That is a harsh reality. When you've set up the nursery, when you've painted, you've gotten the crib, you have the diapers, you have all these things ready. Your breasts are engorged with milk, mm-hmm. and you don't have a baby to bring home. Mm-hmm. That is a hard, harsh reality. Mm-hmm. So women are, I just again believe women are not just making these decisions willy-nilly again, and none of y'all ain't doctors. Like that be the thing. Like y'all are not, you barely got out of science class and you sitting up here trying to make legislation about other people's body. And again, women carrying the water. Why are you doing that? Because no matter what it works for you personally, think about your daughters, think about your children, think about other people's daughters and children, and don't wait till something happens to you or yours to speak out against it. And last but not least, as then Senator Kamala Harris asked Brett Kavanaugh, can you think of any laws on the books that legislates a man's body? Can you think of any? And then you stumbling, because the answer is there is none.
None.
And that's the biggest problem. There is none. So why are you trying to regulate women's bodies if y'all aren't? Because let's call it this. You could just, again, we can make vasectomies mandatory at 13. Then all this, we don't want to have baby. We want babies. Then people can have babies when they actually are prepared to do so.
We got a couple comments here. We got one says, I have a patient who was distraught. Her daughter moved up north on Thursday because they want to start a family and need IVF. They didn't want to live in a state that could do these things to women. The nerve of Fox News to debunk the stories of the 2 women who died in Georgia due to not receiving proper health care. I was sick listening to that mess. And one is enough. Yeah, one woman is enough for me. But
it is more than enough, but it's the idea that these politicians who are making these decisions are acting as if the one is an anomaly, because it's not one,
Yeah.
it's more than one. And this is not an anomaly. Just because the world is populated by 8 billion people, it don't mean that 7 billion didn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot. The survival of the fittest is real in many different
Absolutely.
in many different ways. The human body is not flawless.
Yeah.
And things happen. And sometimes you may have the best of intentions and you cannot bring a child into the world. You can't.
Well, ectopic pregnancies, they're a small percent, but they're a percent that if a woman ends up in the hospital in emergency, should be able to have that dissolved. It's this
But
chemical.
as I just want somebody to ask these politicians. I want JD Vance to define an ectopic pregnancy.
Right.
Not what he heard, because we're gonna get to people hearing stuff in a second.
Yeah.
Not what he heard. Define it. And do you know what it looks like if a woman does not have that medical intervention immediately? Do you know what happens?
Yeah. And then it like 10 to 20% of pregnancies result in miscarriages within the first 20 weeks. And if some of that fetal tissue is not full, like again, so if you have a miscarriage, what they would do is they will go in and do a D&C to scrape off the walls of the uterus to ensure that there is no other fetal tissue there to preserve your uterus so you don't have an infection and that you may go on and have another child if you choose and try to get pregnant again. But
Right.
all of these procedures, and then the thing, well, we couldn't have foreseen that would be a case or that would have. We know you couldn't foresee it because you ain't a physician, and the medical standards of care should be allowed to be practiced regardless. Because again, if it's a stroke, if it's a heart attack, if it's any other thing, there's standards of care. There's a protocol that they have to follow, and that's what you would follow. If it's breast cancer, there's a protocol that you follow. That should be followed. Another comment here. If these issues are a small percentage, it is still too many and not okay. I truly hope women vote their interests of health and making their own private decisions in this election. Absolutely. And the last thing I'll say about that.
Decision should extend beyond just reproductive decisions. That's
the thing. The people don't understand that Roe v. Wade, there were other privacy decisions in that decision.
Right.
So the case, this Dobbs case, was just about abortion. But if other issues of privacy can also be brought down, they will be. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
And the president of the United States needs a legislature and at the state level, because if we're going to still talk about the states' rights BS, who are you elected at your state level who are passing these laws? Because in most states, several states, ours was one, Louisiana was another, they had trigger laws. Ohio was one that had trigger laws on the book. So if the Roe v. Wade decision was overturned, then their bans would automatically take place. Mm-hmm. We have to keep our eye on the prize and know that our literally our life in the lives of the people we love are at risk.
Right.
Okay. Back to our regularly scheduled shenanigans and foolishness. I'm gonna let you talk about your girl because it's your girl. Because Janet Demita Joe was gonna have me jump through.
Listen,
day.
I'm just gonna say this. I'll drop the article in the comments, and it's a long article. It's the Guardian magazine. It's
a long rambling article.
What it is that, Sister Janet Jackson.
And why she ain't over that? Why she ain't over that morning? Girl, go on there and be in morning over Tito. Rest. What if you on for Tito? Can we learn? Can you tell us about that instead of opening your mouth about some foolishness?
Yeah. So obviously, it sounds like this interview, which was very interesting and again very long. Some questions were posed or to Miss Jackson, if you're nasty, and she She should have just kept her mouth closed. Here's the thing. So I want to. It doesn't seem like there was a lot of responses or deep thought-provoking responses that were provided throughout the entire article. I have posted it here. You all may peruse it and see. I feel like the author is a stellar writer because the fact that she was able to pull this much information out of this article and seemingly there wasn't much that was said. So it was very long. But here's where so she's talking about Rhythm Nation album in this portion, right? So she says on that record, the author says on that record, she's saying about, quote, joining voices in protest to social injustice and, quote, pushing toward a world rid of color lines. I wonder where she stands on the forthcoming election. After all, I say America could be on the verge of voting in its first Black female president, Kamala Harris. Quote, well, you know what they supposedly said, she asked me. Janet Jackson says this to the author. Well, you know what they supposedly said, she asked me. She's not Black. That's what I heard, that she's Indian. She looks at me. This is the author speaking. She looks at me expectantly, perhaps assuming that I have Indian heritage. Well, she's both, I offer. Quote, her father's white. That's what I was told. I mean, I haven't watched the news in a few days. She coughs because she had a cold. I was told that they discovered her father was white. I'm floored at this point. Okay, this is the author. I'm just reading the words. I'm floored at this point. It's well known that Harris's father is a Jamaican economist, a Stanford
That's like
professor.
I mean, like that would be like saying that Michael was white. But go ahead, because he discolored himself. But go ahead, go. Let me shut up.
Right. So I'm floored at this point. It's well known that Harris's father is a Jamaican economist, a Stanford professor who split from her mother when she was 5. Quote, my mother understood very well that she was raising 2 Black daughters, Harris wrote in her book, The Truths We Hold. The author continues, the people who are most vocal in questioning the facts of Harris's identity tend to be hardcore, QAnon-adjacent, Trump-loving conspiracy theorists. I don't think Jackson falls into that camp, but I do wonder what the algorithms are serving her. I start again. Harris has dual heritage, I say, and given this moment, does Jackson think America is ready for her? If we agree she's Black or, okay, a woman of color. Quote, I don't know, Jackson stage whispers. Honestly, I don't want to answer that because I really truthfully don't know. I think either way it goes is going to be mayhem. She doesn't think there will be a peaceful transition of power. I think there might be mayhem, she falters. Either way it goes, but we'll have to see. So this article is written by a young lady named Nosheen Iqbal, Iqbal. I hope I'm saying her last name correctly, Nosheen Iqbal. So yeah, girl, look. First of all, sister says she ain't seen the news in a few days. Baby, you ain't seen the news in a few decades. Because ain't no way you are talking like you don't know that Kamala Harris is the vice president of these United States of America. Now y'all done again backpedaled and pussy pie.
Didn't she live in California where she was her senator as well as her attorney general and district attorney?
Maybe she was overseas during them years when she was married and she was
listening to Brother Marlon is gonna get her jump, child.
Well, here's the thing. So I went on ahead and looked up. I know that she was raised Jehovah's Witness, and very often Jehovah's Witnesses, according to the research that I found, they do not participate in the political process in terms of voting. They supposedly obey the laws, pay taxes, do those things, but do not participate in the process in terms of voting because their kingdom is God's kingdom. It's not these earthly things. So perhaps she just has never participated in the process. The bottom line, dear sweet Janet Demita Jill Jackson, this was an opportunity to just say, I'm apolitical because of my religious beliefs, and I I I don't have enough information about that. But the question was, you might first elect the first Black female president. How you jump to what they said, and I heard, but I don't
Who is they?
right. Who is they in your life, Janet Demetra Jackson?
Who is the they in your life, girl?
And then, last but not least, and again, your brother just died.
Can we have a moment of silence for Tito? Thank you.
Your brother just died. Now, granted, I don't know when this article was actually, the timing may just be what it is. I don't know. This is one of the times where, but again, if you read, I'm saying a lot, and I'm not saying nothing at all, which is what this article is. She's saying there's a lot of words in it, but she's saying nothing, because when she's asked about other topics, it's like, oh yeah, I'm sure, yeah, sure, And so the fact that the lady was even able to write as much she wrote, it doesn't sound like it came from the conversation. It just came from her knowing the story of Damita Jo's ascension, dissension, and now her new rise again. But perhaps not. She may be going down the path of Chrisette Michele after this.
As I stated on the book earlier today, either way you say it, some people need to just hush. And I am not one to say celebrities should not speak out. No, you're a citizen of this country. You have absolutely right. But if you are apolitical and if you're uninformed, then just say that. I don't have any knowledge of the subject. That's not my wheelhouse. I don't participate in that process because my kingdom is on the other side. Whatever you want to say, boo, say that.
Well, let me just say this. Janet Jackson, we have an apology through her reps.
She probably was hacked too, I guess, but go ahead.
The statement issued earlier.
Her vocal cords were hacked.
From her Mo El Masri. The statement from Mo El Masri. Oh, okay. The statement issued earlier on Sunday from El Masri, whom the singer's rep says does not represent Janice in any capacity, claimed that the singer was sorry for comments about the Harris based on misinformation. Okay, child, well, maybe not. Maybe she ain't sorry no more. I don't know. What is it saying? Janet Jackson apology for repeating Kamala Harris conspiracy theory did not come from pop star. Says rep. Okay, never mind. Maybe she ain't apologized, child. Let me go.
That's your girl. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I am a fan of Janet Jackson as an entertainer. I mean, obviously, we know she can't sing a lick, but she, like many of us, we've been rocking with her since she was Penny on Good Time. But this is wholly disappointing, and I think it makes it even more disappointing if you didn't even try to apologize. So now it's like, what? What are we talking? What? I'm confused. But as a Black woman, I think I can say that Janet Jackson is a Black woman. As a Black woman whose family has been dogged by rumors and scandal for years, as like somebody else said, okay, you questioning her identity. Well, what about your nieces and nephews? Because obviously we've all been like, girl, that ain't Michael Cherin, not biologically, but there and even with this brother had children with this woman, and then this brother went and married that woman and had children too. So you got sister cousins and brother cousins over here. Your whole situation with the little man was your husband for all them years and what have you. Now you got the billionaire child, and then you stay married as long as you need. Like, you've been dogged by stuff. it just felt like you probably just should have been like, I'm not going to jump into that, sis. Just like you were very adamant you weren't going to jump into the conversation about the Super Bowl, that you probably just should have said, I'm not jumping into that.
Mm-hmm.
I pray that the best candidate wins.
Hallelujah. Okay.
Next.
Okay.
And if Marlon is a huge Trump supporter, I would not be surprised because, girl, what else? What do Marlon got? I'm sorry. When has Marlon ever been the Jackson that anybody ever checked for?
I loved Marlon. Don't go there. I loved Marlon.
Really? What part did he sing in the 5-part harmony?
No, and I don't know what part. I just loved Marlon because
what part did he do that we was
him
like?
And Michael were the closest in age to each other.
Okay, cool.
And Marlon was the cutest.
Again,
in my head is hung low.
I'm just saying.
Where Reby at? Reby, can you go? Reby, I implore you, sis, to go gather your siblings. I know they're grown now.
Right.
But we need you right now, Reby. We on the 40th anniversary of Centipede, girl. Reby, go gather your siblings. Because when a centipede is hot, you don't know about that centipede.
Who don't know about centipede? Maybe that's the only song Reby got. What is you talking about? I know y'all gonna say she had a whole album, but that was the only one because we crawling like a centipede. Stop playing with me.
Let me see when that song came out, baby. Because when the centipede was hot, honey.
But also why you Google
1984 is when it 40 years ago the centipede came out. Let me tell you.
Just 40 years, baby. You could have did that math, but you just had said Marlon. I want you to also Google why you had to Google Marlon's greatest hit.
Marlon has no hit.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was clear.
Anywho, all right. Let's see. My disappointment is even if she's not Black. Are you saying you voted for Trump because he's white or so great? The delusion of it all. The bottom line is like we said, we don't vote for nobody because but who knows? Is she still practicing Jehovah's Witness? I don't know.
Nobody's practicing. They buying Christmas gifts, but they ain't going to vote.
Yeah, not Marlon. Marlon, it was the 6th man off the bench.
Correct. There is no Jackson 5 and he was the 6th man.
No, because Randy was the 6th, because Randy was the baby. Okay.
Right. I understand what you're saying theoretically. But what did I just say?
Oh my goodness. So this last topic, y'all, this is not as let's talk about digital warfare. Whew. Listen, when I heard about the IDF exploding pagers and walkie-talkies, I was like, okay, so I'm rethinking this whole cell phone situation. Okay. Because if a foreign military wants to wreak some havoc up in these United States, they just got to hack our phone and have them explode. You realize
that? There are so many things they could hack, but continue.
But I just saw with these, so there is escalating tensions again with Hezbollah, which is another, we say terrorist group. I don't know who's a terrorist. I don't know who is a government. I don't know who is a warring faction, clan, whatever. All these designations, because all these designations have different meaning and mean different things. But Hezbollah is primarily, it's an organization that is primarily in Lebanon, and it's also backed by the Iranians. And there's an ongoing conflict in with Gaza, there's ongoing conflict in the West Bank. There's this conflict now with Lebanon, which could potentially lead to something else. And this digital warfare about the explosions of the pagers and the two-way radios was like, oh, we doing that now. I don't know. What did you think when you heard about that?
Well, my first thought, and I'm gonna plead ignorant right here. My first thought was pagers. I was literally like, pagers. And then I was told, yeah, because their movement was being tracked when they were using cell phones. So they changed from cell phone technology to digital to pager technology. I think it's horrible. Look, war is, what was the quote? War is hell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is no good part of war. War is hell. I think it's terrible because, yet again, the casualties of this war seem to be young kids, children who had nothing to do with this. And then you see images. I just saw a picture today, and it was like these two women walking past and just like this rubble and destruction. And then you're like, it's normalized as well. That's so problematic for me. And I did not necessarily think about our personal cell phones or anything like that. Because for years, one of my biggest concerns has been bioterrorism, out of anything. And again, and if y'all keep playing, talking about the immigrants this, the immigrants that, well, those are the people who touch your food supply on a regular basis. And, you can mess around and have some real bad situations. So I don't know. I think I guess there's strategy. In all of this. I guess these things are thought through. I guess. But I just wonder, what is the end result? What are you hoping for at the end of all of this? Because these conflicts continue to happen. We've been talking about this. These conflicts in that region of the world have happened for millennia. And it don't look like we're marching towards a solution. So what is the end game? That's what I'm always curious. What is the end game? So we done blew up people using pagers. So, okay, that means there are no rules of engagement.
We blew up people using pages. We had another strike at a school, and like it's just like it goes on and on and on. It's just.
And what is the end game? I know that's a rhetorical question because there is no answer to it, but I just want to understand.
There is none. I mean, like we said, this has been going on for millennia. Go looking back in our Bibles, they're them same Persians. They've been fighting, and
the children of Israel.
And the children of Israel still been fighting. And in the words of the Beatles, I just want to know when we gonna give peace a chance.
Yes, that's where I'm at with it. When are we gonna
give peace a chance? My God.
Because clearly the fighting has not gotten any results. Or not the results you want. Because even if you create quote unquote stabilization in the region for a short period of time, it goes away.
It's always a short period of time.
It's always a short period of time. So I'm like, so how, it's kind of like what we talked about before about the gun violence in this country. So how many?
Yeah, mass shooting in Birmingham just the other night.
Yeah, so how many people got to die before we say enough is enough? How many children have to suffer? How much destruction do they have to have? How many? You said our government is on the verge of another shutdown. So what more are we going to be financing over the next few years?
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have the answers. I think but I do think that, again, all bets are off. This is definitely, there are no rules of engagement. And this definitely feels like we do have to concern ourselves. If there are no rules, then yeah, maybe our cell phones are targets, like you said.
Child. Well, Trump said the fighting in Israel will be over in 24 hours if he's elected. Child, boo.
Yeah, and if he's elected, the fighting in Israel might be over in 24 hours, but the fighting in the United States is going to ratchet right on up. So, like, you can't even get the violence in this country under control. Please stop it.
Shut up, sir. He another one who need to just hush. Keep
Right.
it down. Wasn't that the song back in the 80s? So hush, hush, keep it down. Our voices carry. Some of y'all need to just hush.
But see, but seriously, even with that, this is the kind of, again, rhetoric that we're hearing, and it's like we forget that these things, like this, again, this didn't just start on October 7th. That's the latest conflict.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't just start on October 7th, and it certainly did not. It was not all peace in the Middle East and quiet while Trump was in office.
Exactly.
We were just occupied by a healthcare crisis that ruled our airwaves instead of things that were happening around the globe.
Yes. Well, child, listen, our time has come to an end for this episode of Hey Sister. I will say today is September 22nd. Call y'all legislators, because guess what, y'all? If they don't act right, they're going to be a government shutdown on October 1st. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Republican-led House of Representatives participates in a government shutdown to sow more chaos and discord.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so y'all please call y'all representatives and tell them to get their stuff together. And most importantly, one of the things I did this week was I went online to the Orange County Supervisor of Elections, checked my status, ordered my vote by mail ballot, and signed up to do my ballot track. So whatever your strategy is to make sure you're counted, because early voting has started in some places, make sure your voice is counted up and down the ballot. And with that, peace.
Happy birthday, Aunt Pat. Happy birthday, April.